As you can see this ceiling, you know, one good heavy snow and we're done. This building's gone.
It looks like it's been patched up and patched up and patched up. Inside this dilapidated building, where the roof is always threatening to cave in, sits one precious item. What in the heck is this?
That is an old turbine pump.
That decades-old pump is the only source of reliable clean water for roughly 300 residents. It sends water through the pipes into their homes. Randy Whitaker does his best to help maintain it.
If you look at the facility, you think, no.
You think, no, I'm not drinking any of that.
Right, but it meets all regulatory standards.
We were there when the head of the Environmental Protection Agency got a tour of the place in December. Michael Regan's first initiative is to bring reliable, clean water to historically neglected communities across America.
I walked into a building that's leaking, that has ancient technology, and people's livelihoods are dependent upon this antiquated system. This is not what we should be having in this country.
But it is reality, and the 300 residents serviced by this pump have it good compared to thousands of other residents here who rely on rain or creek water for their water needs. What is one thing you don't have in this house?
We don't have water.
Sonny Barton has lived on this West Virginia ridge for 40 years. He says their mountain community was promised pipe water when he first got here, but it never happened.
I pump it on my truck with.
Out of the creek?
Yeah.
Just straight out of the creek?
Yeah, straight out of the creek.
So this is your water system?
Yeah, this is my water system right here.
I'm assuming it starts here.
Starts here.
You go fill those up
Fill
at
them
the
up.
creek, okay.
And I drop it off here.
This is life in McDowell County, West Virginia, population 18,393. Down in the valley,
I put my shiplap up over top of my cabinets. I painted my cabinets.
Tammy Bailey put some serious sweat equity into her home.
This mining hat right here was the last mining hat my dad wore in the coal mines.
Coal helped the family make a living, but they were never hooked up to a city or county water line.
So one day I come home and I turned my tap on, not this faucet, of course. Yeah. And when I turned my tap on, this is what I got. This was my water.
Okay, that, you can't even see through that. What'd it smell like?
Nasty rotten eggs.
What's worse, when Bailey had her water tested, she says 14 contaminants were found.
You couldn't even flush a toilet, no cooking.
And none of the 1,200 or so homes around here are hooked up to a reliable water source.
We're supposed to be the best country in the world.
The richest.
The richest country in the world.
Some 100 years ago, some residents here were among the richest people in the United States. The county's natural resources and the workers here powered America by mining coal.
We know that historically these coal companies and other extractive industries were the ones who paid for, operated, and maintained all of these town water systems. The communities then have to rely on infrastructure that is aging, failing.
100 years later, coal still rules here, but it's a shadow of itself. So is the tax base and infrastructure generations of families rely on.
My grandmother, this is me and her, she didn't have running water until she was 70.
She didn't have running water until she was 70 years old.
Yes, ma'am. I see our clients and my grandma and about every client that we have. It's what fuels me to do what we do.
What Eddie George does is help people in his hometown get water piped to their homes. He works for a nonprofit organization called DigDeep. Tammy Bailey says she would still be living without clean water if it weren't for Eddie and DigDeep.
I'm a single woman, one income, so I went knocking on the doors of DigDeep, and fortunately they answered.
The cost to fix everything that went wrong, about $10,000, she says. Statistically, that's about a third of a year's wages for most people in this county where the median income is a little over $30,000 a year. But George points out that the problem isn't just about how people get water, but what's in it.
These are what we call straight piping. It's dumping raw sewage into the stream.
This lovely stream runs right through Bailey's neighborhood, but every house we see has a straight pipe straight into it. The people we heard from here desperately want to be hooked up to a water system, but have little hope it will happen anytime soon.
In an area like this, you're, I think, 13 to 14 miles away from any main water source.
But Eddie George does see a trickle of hope because for the first time ever, the head of the EPA came to McDowell County and pledged to help fix what has been broken for far too long.
If you come down some of these places, you would think you was in a third world country. You would never think you was in America. Nobody should have to live like this.
Sara Sidner, CNN, McDowell County, West Virginia.